morning. I'm Carol Costello. Thank you so much for joining me. We begin with new developments of the disappearance of UVA student Hannah Graham. Just moments ago, suspect Jesse Matthew appeared in court in Galveston, Texas. Authorities want to bring him back to Charlottesville, Virginia. He was captured yesterday, 4 days after he sped away from police in the Virginia college town. Police got a tip that a suspicious person was camping out on a beach in Galveston. This surveillance video caught Matthew at a convenience store in the area on Tuesday, 1,300 miles from where Hannah went missing. We're covering this story from all angles, but let's start with Jean Casares. She's in Charlottesville. Good morning.
Good morning. It was just minutes ago that Jesse Matthew appeared in his initial appearance before a judge in Galveston County, and we actually were able to hear him talk a little bit. The first words out of his mouth, Carol, was, "They took all my clothes and I had to sleep on a hard thing." Well, the judge deviated from that for a moment and went into the charges. He's being held. It's a federal hold that is on him right now. The warrant out of Virginia, of course, fugitive from justice. It is abduction of Hannah Graham, and also the local Texas charges that allowed them to arrest him: failure to identify himself as a fugitive and intent to give false information. The question now, and the judge asked him, are you going to sign that you want an attorney to fight extradition or you don't want an attorney? So I think that's the pivotal issue at this point. Is he going to try to not come back to the state of Virginia? Police say they now have the man wanted in connection with the kidnapping of 18-year-old Hannah Graham.
Because of the collaborative efforts of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and state and local law enforcement across this nation, Jesse Matthew was in custody in Galveston, Texas.
This is the latest video of Jesse Matthew working as a volunteer football coach hours before he met the University of Virginia sophomore. Later that night, he was seen on this surveillance video putting his arm around Graham at the Charlottesville downtown mall. Police believe he was the last person to see Hannah before she vanished September 13th.
We have a person in custody, but there's a long road ahead of us, and that long road includes finding Hannah Graham.
A Galveston County judge told a local reporter Matthew didn't resist arrest, and the deputies responded to a call of a suspicious person camping on the beach at around 3:30 p.m. Wednesday. A run of the license plate showed a warrant for Matthew's arrest.
The hero of today is an employee, a deputy with the Galveston County Sheriff's Office.
Earlier this week, Matthew was recorded walking into the convenience store on the Boulevard Peninsula near where police picked him up. He purchased a few items and left. Matthew worked as an operating room patient technician at the university's medical center, but has since been suspended without pay. Items collected from searches of Matthew's car and apartment are being examined by technicians at the Virginia Department of Forensic Science.
We're determining whether an item of evidence, a body fluid or whatever, came from a particular individual.
The police chief expects those DNA results back before the end of the week. Meanwhile, a devastated community waits for answers. And it took about 4 hours between the time that Jesse was arrested and then brought into the jail. And Carol, I spoke with the jail and they said they were doing a lot of questioning of Jerry Matthew because this is an emergency situation. Where is Hannah? She's been gone for 12 days now. And under that emergency doctrine, they're allowed to ask him, where is she? What do you know? How can we find her?
All right, Jean Casares, stand by. I want to go to CNN's Ed Lavandera now. He's live near Galveston. He joins us now on the phone. Ed, did you see Jesse Matthew in court? And if you did, what was his demeanor?
No, we're on our way into Galveston now and trying to track down exactly what brought him here, what authorities might be looking for here on the island, and any kind of clues that might help in this investigation.
So at this point, we don't know if Matthew knew anyone in Galveston, Texas.
No, it's not exactly clear, so that is obviously something that will be of great interest to investigators. What brought him here? Perhaps is there anybody helping him, anything and that sort of thing. So, we'll be trying to dig into that today.
All right, we'll let you get back to it. Ed Lavendera reporting live for us as well. Police say this case is nowhere near over. Initially, they issued arrest warrants for Jesse Matthew for reckless driving, but now he's facing charges in Hannah Graham's disappearance. CNN senior legal analyst Paul Callan joins me now, and I hope Gene Casares is still with us. The charge against Jesse Matthew is interesting. He's been charged with abduction with intent to defile. I've never heard of that charge, Paul.
It's a very strange statute in Virginia, and it's obviously a type of kidnapping where there was an intent to sexually abuse or rape the victim. What I find to be most interesting about it is that the murder statute in Virginia has a provision that if you abduct with the intent to defile and the victim is killed intentionally, that's a death penalty case. So they're obviously setting this up for a death penalty charge should the evidence indicate that Hannah has been killed in the course of whatever happened to her.
Interesting. So, Gene, we know police searched this guy's car, and they took forensic evidence out of that car. Any indication of what they found?
No, that is not being released, and I am in correspondence with the state crime lab. They are continuing to do the forensic testing on these items, and they had the first round, now they're doing the second round, and the police chief has said on the record that he believes that later in the week he'll get the forensic results. So I don't think that they have those yet. However, the police chief did say that there was credible evidence found in the car and his apartment that led to that abduction charge. And maybe those are tangible items, you know, cell phone, wallet, things that they can touch and hold.
And Paul, I guess the next step, the next step for Virginia authorities is just get the guy back to Virginia. So do you think he'll fight extradition? And if he chooses to fight extradition, will he be successful?
Well, it's always an interesting question because people think, wow, he'll battle extradition. But in truth, to extradite somebody, all you have to prove is that he's the right person, he's Jesse Graham, and that Virginia has issued a warrant for his arrest. There's no examination of the strength of the case or his guilt or innocence. So it's very, very hard to fight extradition. Now, Virginia law enforcement authorities might like to see him fight extradition because it'll give them more time to develop their case in Virginia while he remains in custody. If he comes back to Virginia, they've got to present it to the grand jury or appear before a judge, and they're going to have to start showing their hand. Do they really have enough evidence to indict him? So this is a weird case where I think it would be a good thing for Virginia if he fights extradition.
It is a weird case. Paul Callan.